Hello. I'm not at the camera right now, but I can talk to you. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. Let me pop up my face. Bam, there's my face. Um, so I've been neglecting. It's been, spring, so it's not massively important, but I've been neglecting going to the farmers market before the Saturday morning show because I have a Saturday morning farmers market that's like a 15-minute walk away. No reason not to. Um, Still a little sparse. They have, if you want green onions and asparagus and rhubarb, there's a ton of that. Um, Everything else is kind of trickling in. But I got a lion's mane today from the mushroom guy who's there. He said that he didn't have any lion's manes as of yesterday. This one grew overnight, um, although he had a whole bunch last week. Mm. So we're going to cook with this because I love a lion's mane. You can't get them at the local grocery very often, and if you do, they're very expensive. This guy wasn't the cheapest mushroom in the world. I was going to grow my own mushrooms. This is one I would go for sure. They're supposed to be first of all, they're very delicious. Regardless of what else you know about lion's manes, um, they're a very delicious mushroom, and they have a very meat-like texture. They don't have that. They don't go rubbery. I know a lot of people are put off by the texture of mushrooms, and I always tell them try different kinds. Different kinds have different textures. Lion's mane does not have that like mushroomy, bouncy texture to it when it's cooked. It actually gets nice sort of crispy edges on it got all these little because it's got all these little fibers, and it's got sort of an open internal structure. It's also pretty dry compared to some other mushrooms, like the wine cap from the other day put out a ton of moisture. Uh, Lion's manes don't, which makes them great candidates for sautéing. Um, and they have a nice, interesting flavor. Some people describe them as tasting like shrimp. I'm not sure I buy that. Um, I guess I'll taste it today and decide. I could redecide again. But I think they have their own flavor. You might have heard of them because of the medicinal properties that they have. There's been this craze about mushroom coffee lately. I don't buy into that, mostly because they keep putting reishi in there, and I keep don't mess with reishi unless you know what is up. Um, but they put lion's mane in there specifically because it's supposed to help with anxiety, and potentially uh, ADHD, although I don't know that that's ever been studied. So, so take any medical help with a big pinch of salt. But it's supposed to be like mood improving in general. I again don't know that I've ever noticed that, but a pretty upbeat guy to begin with, so maybe I'm just lucky. Um, I've got some coffee this morning. Oh, that might be not the best mug to use on camera. Um, hold it with my other hand so you can see the other part. It's member berries. Um, so yeah, the plan is I'm going to eat this lion's mane. We're going to chop it up. We're going to saute it. Uh, I just picked it up this morning, so I haven't had a like. I got back not even an hour ago, so I haven't had a ton of time to think about it. I was I was gonna go with something like polenta and then have this as a topping. But then I was thinking, oh well, I could try a porridge because we're in like brunch times. Um, because I saw something and it was I can't really name it. It was an Iranian breakfast dish, and I was like, oh, that looked good. It was made with beans and broken wheat, and it said you can use, and it came out like a porridge, and it said if you can't find broken wheat, you can use couscous, and that got me thinking, oh, could you make couscous into a porridge and have like a pasta porridge? Because couscous isn't a pasta, but it's not just a raw grain. It's been processed wheat. It's processed. It's just it's a different form, but it has a similar flavor profile to it. And that got me thinking. Can I make that into a porridge? Like deliberately overcook it so it kind of goes mushy. Make like a congee. Make like a couscous congee. Um, so that's where we were thinking. I also discovered. Um, I actually discovered it last time on Thursday when I was cooking that those ramps fried in sufficient oil slash butter become very crispy. Um, so I might do that on purpose now. See if I can get some really crispy pieces of ramp as a topping. Because now I'm thinking of a savory breakfast porridge with spring seasonal ingredients. That sounds good. That sounds good to me. But yeah, I'm still kind of in the end of the brainstorming stage here because I didn't know I was going to have a lion's mane until about an hour ago. And I still got tons of ramps, so I pretty much want to use those in everything I make. We've also got some asparagus. I didn't pick up any asparagus today because I already had some asparagus because it's super seasonal. Um, hello, string of numbers. English only in chat, please. How do I delete that? I'm gonna time you out for a second there. To delete that. English only in my chat, please. You're welcome to stick around, but I need to know what you are saying in order to police you in chat. Uh, welcome, welcome, though. I was just talking about what I'm making and what I'm brainstorming. I've got ramp butter, and butter is a. Do I want a hamburger? No, I don't particularly want a hamburger. I also don't have any ingredients to make a hamburger, so I don't think we're gonna go with that. I do have, I do have some ramp butter here, which is a compound butter with ramps and butter. Um, that might be a good frying medium for the lion's mane. Let's pop over to the thing. Oh, it's really a little bit blown out. There's our lion's mane. There's our ramp butter. Do you want a hamburger? I can't. I can't provide. Let me get out the couscous because I think I do want to try for a porridge. So it's a pretty fine-grained couscous I've got here, not big pearls. So I think it'll be good for this application. Look, woman, welcome in. Hello. Um, Good morning. I'm still brainstorming. It is morning over where I am. Yes, I'm in the United States. Um, we're still in the brainstorming phases because I picked this guy up at the farmers market this morning, and I want to use him, and I'm narrowing in on what I think I want to go for. So the lion's mane stand is going to be a stand-in for in place of any meat, um, because it's a first of all it's a mushroom, so it's protein, but also it's got a more robust texture than a lot of other mushrooms, so you can use it as that. So I know that if I was going to go super simple with it, I could get it done in 5 minutes and be and go 11 o'clock in the evening. Well, I should get rolling before you have to run off to bed then. Ah, uh, mm. Okay. I think I've got a decent idea. So we're gonna keep on our theme. I've got asparagus. I've got an eggplant. Should I use that eggplant? Maybe not. I got to get through these ramps. I got to sit down and do a preservation thing with these ramps because some of them are starting to get a little over the hill. Nomi, this is couscous, which came in bags, and I transferred most of the bags into this large jar. This large jar, which there's a little bit of breathing room in the top, but that one didn't fit when I was loading them up, so I left it in the bag. Um, I'm thinking we're gonna shoot for a couscous porridge because I was inspired to think of that. And then we're concocting some sort of a savory flavor to go with it, based on our lion's mane, which is going to be the star of our show. And then yeah, okay. Um, See, as you can see, the ramps are starting to get a little wilty. So I definitely need to. That one's got some spots on it even. I definitely need to set down and just go through and preserve what I've got, or resign to throwing a bunch of them away. And then so I think some of them are already over the hill. So they've kept extremely well. They've kept a couple of weeks in the fridge at this point. So that's a good sign for the future. But I think I just have too many. So we're gonna do something with them. Um, we're gonna use more of them today. If I have any that go completely off on me, I'm going to throw them in the compost. But um, apparently you can blanch them and then freeze them, and they will keep really well. So I'm going to probably do that with a bunch of them. My friend who gave them to me also had way too many and has been drying them. So I might try drying some of them in the big sunny bay window I've got. But yeah, I haven't started cooking yet because I'm still kind of brainstorming. Um, I'm still kind of brainstorming. I think we're gonna keep with this spring seasonal theme as much as we can. I this the couscous is my starch, and I'm not using potatoes. Um, if the lion's mane is my protein, then I probably want to boost it up a little bit um, with some other savory elements, but I don't want to drown it. Um, so let's get out my miso that was once upon a time white miso, but is more like dark miso now, just because it's kept aging and I've had it that long. I didn't know it would do that. But I think miso will be a good flavor there. We're going to use some butter. I do think that butter is or ghee. If you don't, we could actually do that. I have ghee. If you're lactose intolerant, you might not want to use butter on your mushroom. But ghee, also called clarified butter, uh, should be at least, lactose free because it has been refined to just be the fat. And the flavor of butterfat goes well with mushrooms. Don't take my word as gospel on this being completely lactose free because it does not say on the packaging it is. But um, American stoves look alike. I suppose they are fairly standardized. I've I've definitely used some different ones here in America, so I don't know that they are. Maybe you've only encountered this kind. I think we should use the ghee. Let's see how hard it is. Ghee is an interesting case because it's butter fat, but because it has been so highly refined, it does not need to be refrigerated. This is pretty soft. Uh, yeah, the glass ones are just exactly the same as this, except there's a sheet of thermal glass over the top of the coils, which makes it much easier to clean. I wish I had one of those because they are so much easier to clean, and you don't get. You can see how these things are supposed to be silver because they sort of reflect the heat up, but they get super gnarly because anything that gets down in there just immediately burns onto the surface. Um, I have seen some induction style ones lately where they'll have one of the burners will be a double ring and the one of the rings will be an induction ring, which is neat. Um, oh, 4. I suppose, yeah. Well, because the bottom part is an oven, so if they only had 2 on the top, there'd be a lot of open space. So they designed these to sort of fill in the space on the top with how big the oven is below. So it's an all-in-one unit. Sometimes they're even more all-in-one, and they've got a microwave that hovers over the top. Um, does anyone else have any ideas of what I could add to this concept? I'm going to ask Google about lion's mane. Garlic makes sense. Recipes are real simple. I think we're gonna stick with simple. Ooh, I'm running low on garlic. Running low on garlic. We're gonna have to pick up some more garlic. I've got a shallot as well that can be our onion for this, since all of my onions are enormous right now, or scallions. Um, yeah, yeah, okay, okay. Reasonable. So if we're making a couscous, if we're attempting a couscous porridge, which I don't know if that's even a thing. I didn't read about that at all. Maybe we should ask Google. It's a suggested result. Oh, sweet couscous porridge. Weird. We're not going sweet. Um, yeah. Get this guy on the back corner. Uh, so I'm going to use too much water on purpose so that I can overcook this, cook it down. So we're going to start. I'm also going to put, let's get the heat on. I'm going to put the couscous in there cold because I want this to be like a porridge texture, like a congee or a mushy oatmeal. But I am going to give us a, well, I want to measure it that way. Let's go with that one. Yes, my tap water comes out the tap, ready to go. I know that is one of the great luxuries of the United States. Uh, I've been to places where you can't do that, but it is one of the great luxuries of the United States that unless our government officials have messed it up, which does happen sometimes, our water is ready to go, ready to use right out the tap. Um, I don't often think about it. I'm also in a part of the United States that has a great deal of water. Um, so that part I do think about. Um, because I've been to places that in the United States where the water may be clean, but there's not enough of it to do some of the things that I do with water. I'm not wrong burner. No wonder my hand was getting hot. I turned the front one on instead of the back one. I don't think I have, unless there's a lead line coming from the water main to the house. The one coming in my basement is copper. Um, most of the lead pipes aren't actively dangerous either. Um, of course, Flint, Michigan got famous for having terrible lead contamination. Uh, I am fortunate enough to be in Wisconsin, which has a great uh, deal of water. Tap water can't be heated directly for drinking. Does it need to be, is it a filtration issue or a boiling issue? Um, if you don't mind my asking. Because I've been to a place where you had to boil the water to use it because the municipal water had um, parasites, local critters. Um, let's see, a couple cloves of garlic, ramps, a shallot, asparagus. Um, Felix, welcome in. Heavy metal. I've heard. I know that too. With school. I did a study on water in um, India, and they have a great deal of arsenic contamination because there are arsenic deposits in the Himalayas that are eroding out, and it flows into the groundwater in northern India. Um, Felix, what would you add to this mess? This guy's our main event, and we're serving him with porridge, and I'm trying to concoct a wonderful savory topping. I could throw in another kind of mushroom to. Oh my goodness, Jen. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for the resub. We're a month away from a 9 month, but it'd be a month early for a baby because subs are counted at the start of the month. I know, I'm being pedantic. Welcome, welcome. Do you have any ideas? I'm still fishing for ideas. I've started the porridge element. We're making a couscous porridge. Um, we're gonna make a savory couscous porridge, and I've got mostly spring seasonal stuff that I'm gonna work with. So I've got a lion's mane here. It's gonna be our main event. I'm gonna accompany it with some asparagus. I don't think I'm gonna drown it in asparagus. So let's pick out a couple of these. Let's pick out the skinnier ones because they're a little bit more tender. Um, there's a ton of asparagus at my farmer's market. Absolute ton. And rhubarb. There was so much good looking rhubarb. I don't know what to do with rhubarb. I don't have any experience, and I didn't want to just grab some willy nilly. Um, I will give that some good hard thinking and come back around to the rhubarb possibly this week. Um, soy rice wine, vinegar, sesame oil. Well, I did get out my formerly white but now probably red miso. Um, and we're going for savory in general because that's. Oop, we have an ad. Sorry, I didn't give a heads up for the ad. We're going for savory in general because of this thing, which is a very meaty mushroom. I'm not in a massive rush. Preserved egg and lean pork porridge. If I had either of those things, we could try that. I have neither of those things, but interesting idea. I have done some egg preservation. I just don't have any preserved eggs now. I've only got fresh eggs. Um, we're always going to be limited by what I have available, and I've got a lot of different things, but I don't have everything. Rice vinegar. I've got some rice vinegar. You know, I used it all up, but I had um, pork floss, that dried pork product. That stuff was nice for adding just a pinch of meat to something. Um, I eat preserved eggs sometimes. Maybe not the same way that you're thinking of. Um, but I've definitely made my own uh, soy marinated eggs, and those keep once you've got them in the soy brine, they keep for a long time. Um, I'm not exactly sure what your mind is of a preserved egg, but that's the kind I've had. I'm gonna start cutting stuff because otherwise I'm just standing around. We're gonna start since otherwise I'm just standing around. We're gonna just start prepping ingredients. And as always, as I always say, do your garlic first. Do it well in advance of when you need it so that it has a chance to really develop its flavor. Because the it's so all of the alliums, which are the onion family, so onion, garlic, shallot, things like that, have they have volatile sulfur compounds in them, which are the strong flavors and smells that we get from them. Um, but they are not active when the plants are not damaged. Crushing the cells releases the volatile compounds, and they combine with a enzyme, and that turns them into the strong but short-lived flavors and smells that we love them for so much. That's why pre-packaged garlic doesn't have that pungency because of the I'm trying to dance around with the words, but I'll just use the actual words. So when your garlic is intact, it has a chemical called allicin in it, and an enzyme called allinase, which metabolizes the alanine. And when you crush it, they combine and they form allicin, which is spelled with a C, not an S. I know you can crush it with the back of a knife. I like to do it with a microplane. Personal, it's just a personal thing. Allicin doesn't have the pungency. It's just a base compound. Allicin has all the strong garlickiness that you're thinking of when you think of fresh garlic. And here's the hitch. Why I'd say do it in advance. The enzyme allinase is not heat stable. If you heat it, it breaks down and it won't develop the flavor. The finished product, the allicin, is heat stable. It's just not age stable. So you don't do this way in advance, otherwise you get bland garlic because it loses out. Which is why prepackaged garlic is always kind of meh, because the allicin has volatilized away. So don't. I see internet chefs do this all the time where they'll crush their garlic directly into a hot pan, and I'm like, no, well, you're missing, you're you're shortchanging your garlic doing it that way. So I like to do it, you know, a couple minutes in advance, around 10 minutes in advance. If you're crushing it up, or if you're so that also, because it's dependent on how much it's crushed up, you can control the pungency of your garlic by treating it in different ways. If you crush it with the flat of a knife, it breaks up those cells, and then you can slice that, and you can have little pieces that are still more strongly flavored. If you just slice it, it'll break the cells up along the slice lines, but it won't release nearly as much, so you'll have a milder garlic. So how you break up your garlic affects the finished result. Putting it through a microplane like I did is like maximum garlic. Probably the only thing better than that is pasting it on a board with the knife. I think it gives an even finer texture and more development this way than like a crusher, which I have here. I have a garlic crusher. These things took me a while to find one that was all steel. I hate the ones with the plastic masher panel. These things work great if you don't want to go through the trouble of microplaning or you're worried about your fingertips. These things work great. I almost always reach for the microplane first, unless I'm doing a ton of garlic. If I'm doing a lot, I reach for this thing because it's just very efficient. Let's check in on our couscous, which I believe is in need of turning down. And it might actually need more water if I want to make it more porridgey. I'm going to give it a little bit more water because I think I want a little bit more porridgey than this, but we're not going to go nuts with it. I see that Pampered Chef stuff at Goodwill. All the Pampered Chef stuff I have, I got at Goodwill, because it's expensive, and I don't think it's actually any better than your standard things. But that's what this bamboo tongs came from. I got at the you can see it, Pampered Chef. $2 at Goodwill. These things are great. Actually, I should put those. I moved my other tongs over here, and I forgot to move the bamboo tongs over here. Yeah, all metal is nice. Chicken broth or stock tomato. Ooh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I have. Oh, I should have used this from the start. Give it a sniff. Make sure it's still good. I have, and I got this on sale, pre-made miso broth. Oh, now it's got a bunch of extra water in it. Shoot. Well, oh, that should have been. Dang. What a fool I've been. I've been meaning to try this miso broth that I picked up. Um, okay. Um, here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a scoop of the, oops, I'm on my big camera. We're going to take a scoop of this red miso here. And chuck that in instead. Because miso is essentially umami concentrate. Umami. Okay. Okay. We're coming along. We're coming along. We've got ideas. That stuff should start to melt if there's enough water left in there. See, this is why I love having you guys here for this. You can throw ideas at me and I can be like, ooh, that's a great idea. I will steal that and take credit for it on Twitter. Although we're getting away from, we're trying to extract myself from Twitter a little bit, um, as it has become a horrible cesspit. Hooray, horrible cesspit. Okay. Okay. Oh, thanks. It was a gift to me because I mentioned that I needed summery shirts that I could hook a lapel mic to. I have a lot of t-shirts which are very awkward to hook a lapel mic to. Okay, if this needs more liquid, as I continue to kind of try to turn it into a porridge base, um, I should taste it. I should give it a taster. Am I losing spoons? I've been losing spoons this whole time. That'd be weird, because it's just me. Well, that's very delicate. Interesting. Ooh, it's got a nice sort of delicate flavor to it. We didn't add very much miso. It actually tastes a lot like pasta. It tastes a lot like a pasta porridge. Um, I need to get the next element going. Do I want the big pan for this? Or do I want to go with a smaller pan? This is what happens when I haven't plotted out my project. I end up stopping and standing around for long periods of time. Let's slice our shallot. Let's bring you guys over here. I've lowered the heat on that couscous to a medium low. We're gonna shoot for a simmer. I love couscous. I got that big tall jar I've got. I got it. It was on sale. Um, every time I've gotten couscous, it's been on sale because whenever I look at the non on sale couscous, I'm like, oh, that's a little bit more than I was thinking for that. I do. I catch everything. I'm always out looking for sales on food stuff. the my local grocery was cleaning. They had those like self-serve tubes, and they were discontinuing them. So they cleared everything out of them and put them into little bags, like the one I just used. And then they just slapped price stickers on them. So $3, and it was full up about to there when I got it. And there were 3 of these. But I also got at the same time I got almonds and cashews and walnuts and slivered almonds and blanched almonds and chocolate covered coffee beans. All of them at ridiculous discounts because they were just discontinuing the whole thing. It was kind of nutty, and it didn't last very long. I just happened to stumble in at the right moment, and then I took for the most part, I took them out of their bags and put them into airtight containers to try to keep them, because I wasn't able to use all that at once. And it's just that one couscous didn't fit in the large jar, so it stayed in its bag. But couscous is probably the one I'm least worried about as well. It's a dry, uh, pasta thing. The nuts really need to be kept. I've been looking for, and I can't find. I'm probably gonna have to order online. Desiccant packs and oxygen packs for keeping stuff long term. Those little pouches that say "Do not eat" that you get in packaged food items. You can get those. And if you throw them in your packages of stuff you're trying to keep, it helps them keep. It deoxygenates the air in the. It deoxygenates and desiccates the air in the container. They're great for like keeping spices, which often start to get clumpy when you open them because the humidity gets to them. If you put a little desiccant in there, they stay nice and powdery and keep longer. Okay. We're actually got to start now. We've actually got to finally start. So we are using some ghee. We're going to go generous with it. Since there's no other fatty components in this at all, since our protein is a zero-fat protein in the mushroom. So we can go a little bit generous with our frying fat. So that's probably about 3 tablespoons. A salt thing that's starting to clump as summer approaches. Yeah, I've gone every local store, and I even like specialty stores. I just can't seem to find them locally. So I'm gonna have to break down. I hate ordering things online, but I'm gonna just have to break down and order some online, because they're great for things like that. Our miso couscous is sticking a little bit, so I'm going to give it a splash of the broth to loosen it up. Ghee has one of the highest smoke points of the cooking fats. It's similar to like beef tallow. And for exactly that reason, it's super highly refined, so it has nothing in it that will burn, and the burning stuff is what causes your fats to smoke. So yes, ghee, clarified butter / ghee has a very high smoke point. makes it excellent for high heat cooking. I would recommend it for like steak searing because the butter, people always reach for butter for steak. The, the butter for steak often gets too browned too fast. Ghee tends to be a noticeably more expensive than butter as well, which is a consideration. But it's shelf stable at room temperature. It does not need to be refrigerated, and it doesn't really go off at all. If you keep it for years and years and years, I bet it'll eventually go skunky on you, but just use it before that happens. Um, and yeah, in theory, it's safe for lactose intolerance as well because it has been refined to the point where there's no uh, sugars, which is another element that burns. Um, I think it's the first thing that goes brown in butter when you cook it are the sugars. Okay, I'm going to call that guy good enough. He was sticking at the bottom, so I gave him a splash of our packaged miso broth to loosen it up. Because my nonsticks are all kind of showing their age and getting a little bit sticky at the bottom. But also our texture looks good. It looks more porridgey and less like a couscous. It's very soft. Still pretty mild. We might actually mix some more miso in there, but I might want to keep it. I want to keep it mild. It's a very delicate flavor at the moment. Okay. Lots of ghee. I don't have a Trader Joe's around here. I've heard good things about Trader Joe's. I don't have one. Okay, shallot in the pan. Same time, ramps in the pan. Because, once again, as I've learned the hard way, take care with your ramps. Make sure they're well cooked, and don't overload your dish with them, or you will regret. Massive regret. The big regret. So they're going in earlier than I would put in a scallion. If this was not a shallot but a regular onion, I would probably put it in first, let it get started, and then add the ramps. Um, so I know Trader Joe's is like a store. I guess I'm not familiar with what makes them special. Should I throw? I'm gonna throw in because we still got our other mushroom. I've still got some of my other mushroom here. This guy. We're going to dice up a chunk of this, put it in early, let it really cook down, and amp up the savoriness of our thing there. And the moisture coming out of it should help our other ingredients cook a little bit more slowly. Uh, I don't have a Trader Joe's, but I have been loving the Woodman's, which is just a big old grocery store. But they have such an interesting collection of imports, but also seasonal produce. It's where I get the breadfruit, for example, that I've cooked a couple of times. Okay. You're welcome. We have an ad coming up in 2 minutes. You're welcome to watch me cook before bed. I'm happy to have you. Um, what Woodman's lets me down on is their they have interesting seasonal produce, but their produce is super seasonal. They don't have nice produce out of season for like the basic stuff. Uh, so it is you can get like the basics any time of year, but it's very obvious that it's out of season. They also have a frankly terrible meat department. The wine cap I've noticed tends to color my dishes a pale purple, which I know is not the reason they're called that, but it's very interesting nonetheless. So we're letting that simmer down. Let's dice up the asparagus. Save the tips. Everything else cut to approximately the same size. Be cognizant of hard bottom edges, which are not good eating. But yeah, I wish I had a Trader Joe's to give it a try. We're throwing the garlic in. Push it around until it's fragrant. Which happens very quickly. Our garlic is already fragrant. Just takes a couple of seconds when it's mashed that finely. Asparagus in. And throw the tips in as well. I'm trying to not cook for an army like I do in the past. I'm trying to not have a ton of leftovers from every single episode because that was happening to me where I would still have leftovers from the previous show while I was cooking, and then I'd have 2 layers deep of leftovers going on. So I'm really trying to control myself a little bit in that regard. Okay, bring temperature down on that a little bit. Let's add splash of soy sauce, and vinegar. To the pan. We will let it cook out because I don't want it to be really sour. Let's main event this thing. So this guy, he's already breaking apart a little bit. So I'm going to pull him right in the middle. Take him into chunks. It's very fibrous. The mushroom guy said this one grew overnight, so this is a very young lion's mane. I've had them in the past, and they're a little bit denser than this, and I noticed that while I was handling it. So I didn't want to go nuts and cook this guy too early because he's very open and airy, and I want nice sort of pieces. So I just sort of cook. I've chopped them into biggish chunks. I almost want to get out on I almost want to get out a fresh pan. Since this pan's a little bit fuller than I think I was shooting for. How much more can I? Okay, no, I'm gonna. Okay, we're gonna pretend this is a wok. We're gonna pretend this thing's a wok. We're gonna push all of our stuff to one side. We're gonna take another little dab of ghee, just to clear up that side. We should probably have our stuff pushed the other way, since I need the handle on my end and my kitchen slopes that way, so the liquids will pool naturally on this side. And with oil in the pan, we're going to just pop these guys right down gonna. So the little shaggy hairs, which aren't hairs, they're bits of mushroom is what they are, but they're hair shaped. I'm gonna toss them all right in the pan as well. They can combine with the rest of that, sort of amp up the flavor. No sense in letting them go to waste. My heat is a little bit low because I don't want this part to burn. Yeah, actually, this will be a good use for the bamboo tongs because I don't want to scratch up my nonstick. Now that my porridge has set a little bit, I'm going to see if I want anything in it. I think that's good. I think we're going to leave that alone. Oh, hi. Couscous porridge, huh? Interesting. Yeah. So I want I would like the mushrooms to brown a bit. And if possible, go a little crispy. They're gonna soak up some of our oil. Gonna lick this spoon. Mmm, pure miso. That's very intense. Lick this spoon. That one had ghee on it. Let's see. We used the ghee instead of the shallot butter, so I will put the shallot butter away. Or not shallot butter, ramp butter. Same difference. Okay, let's take a peek at how these guys are doing on the other side. I think I want the temperature to be higher, which means I want to get the other stuff out of this pan. So let's do that. Let's grab a. We don't need a fresh bowl. I've got a bowl right here that's got nothing in it. Okay, we don't. Because I don't want to overcook my asparagus especially. So let's get that part out of the pan. Should have done this first. Scrape up the side a little bit so I don't immediately burn everything, and I immediately burn part of it. Good enough. So those of you following along, go back a step and take that stuff out of your pan because it's just inconvenient. We're going to turn the temperature up on this now because I would like to get crispy edges on these, and they should. It's a low moisture mushroom compared to other mushrooms. I mentioned that earlier. So it should produce less water and thus be able to fry up nicely in a pan. That's the theory. I'm just doing it stupidly and keeping the temperature low to try to preserve another ingredient in the pan instead of just moving it. Oh well. You live and you learn. Coffee. I also got some coffee. We're drinking half calf today because I didn't have enough of the caffeinated stuff to make a full cup. And it was cold now too, so I better finish it off before it's completely cold. Yeah, I think we are on the right stretch, home track, etc., etc. I should probably get a scallion, so let me go grab one of those from my garden. You can hear the birds in the background, chattering like mad. They are infuriated that I have dared come out of the door just now. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Dang, that one bird. That one bird was having none of me. We're getting out one scallion. Let's take a peek at our mushrooms. Should be, yes, there we go. That's what I was looking for. That's what I wanted initially. Temperature was too low. So like I said, lion's mane are a bit meatier than other mushrooms and take well to a high heat as a result. You get browning, you get little crispy bits. We are going to have a few burnt edges because of the shallot that's in there still. Um, so, okay. Another thing I got, this one wasn't even on sale. This one was just me hunting around and finding a good deal. Oops. So I was for a long time buying those little jars of sesame seeds and to sprinkle for a topping because sesame seeds are a great topping. But they add up. So I went hunting around and I found bagged sesame seeds in really awkward containers that you just couldn't reseal them. They were going to be a mess, but they were super cheap. So I put them in. These are those like if you get takeout soup from a restaurant. That's what these containers are. And each of these was $3 for that many sesame seeds. Uh, Sesame seeds galore. And they came in both white and black sesame seeds, so I can have the mix now instead of having to pick between them. We're going to use some sesame seeds as a topping today, so I'm going to get those out. Have fun. I'm probably wrapping up soon because our mushrooms are getting a nice brown, crispy edges on them. So we're going to take the heat off, call them good. Add back our other stuff. Well, hello, Carbon Gens pups. Carbon pup. Okay. Put our miso back. Switch over here. Here's my Garden Fresh scallion. It's a one I cut previously, so it's got a cut tip there and a little constricted tip at the bottom. So I'm going to cut those off. Make sure you have a sharp knife. It's always embarrassing to cut a scallion and have it turn into a little accordion. uh, Let's see. People like these bowl. People really like. Whenever I use these, people really love these. So I'm going to use this thing again. We're moving on to plating. We're doing plating already. So our miso couscous porridge, which of course I have too much of, because you always have too much couscous. I can never control myself. This is a half cup of dry couscous, and it's such a huge quantity of cooked. It needs. Honestly, it could stand a little bit more liquid. I'm not going to mess with it at this point. We're going to give it a drizzle of sesame, toasted sesame oil, and a drizzle of jar always wants to not open. And a drizzle of our Chile arbol oil. This stuff it's been gelling because I've had it in the fridge. So I probably should get some on the spoon and let it fully melt before I do a drizzle with it. Stuff is spicy. There we go. It is a lovely day. It's not quite super hot. It's having a short show is partly because I didn't have a plan going into it, so I'm just kind of winging it. That kind of went all over the place. Didn't get a nice drizzle. Oh well. It's part that, and part because I'm using sort of fresh seasonal ingredients, and overcooking them would be such a shame. I think I actually overcooked the asparagus anyways, despite taking it off the heat. So we're gonna put our mix here with the lion's manes prominently at the top. We'll arrange a little bit with the visible asparagus spears. A sprinkle of our garden fresh scallion, which we are arranging. The weird part about doing food for entertainment is the arranging of ingredients, to me. A sprinkle of black sesame, a sprinkle of white sesame for that lovely black and white contrast. Oops. No, I cross-contaminated my sesames. Oh well. Oh well. And do I want anything else? Is there another top? I don't think we need any more toppings on this. Aside from the ghee, this is vegan. A little bit of black pepper. Aside from the ghee, this is vegan, and you could do it with an oil. I would probably go with coconut oil if I was to swap out for a cooking oil rather than something like an olive oil, because I think you want that, you need that richer, that a richer oil for this. Let me go grab a photo, and I'll come back and I will give you tasting notes. People keep telling me I'm good at tasting notes. I disagree. I disagree. I think I'm terrible at tasting notes. But let's give it the old photo, and then come back for tasting notes. I'm actually going to have brunch at brunch time for a change instead of it running long and being in the afternoon. Auto notifications on my tablet. Let's try another angle. Ooh. Ooh, we got multiple good angles on this plate. That's different. Usually I have one good angle and the other ones look like crap. Okay, lots of photos. Okay, coming back. Heading back. Oop, that was the wrong light switch. That was the wrong light switch. Okay, here's our thing. Let's get rid of the board and the knife so we can just have our thing. I believe we want a... Oh, this is an interesting dilemma. I want a fork for the toppings, but I want a spoon for the porridge. I guess we're good. Spork. I know this isn't actually a spork. This is like a some kind of special shellfish fork, but it's a lot like a spork. We're going to use the spork here. Okay, I'm actually most curious, and I'm going to taste it separately because there's other stuff going on here. I'm super most curious about tasting the lion's mane directly. So there's a piece I did not put in there. Here it is, from the frying pan. We're going to taste it straight up and talk about it before I dive into the full dish. Mm. Mm. You know what? By itself, with not much else on it, it does taste a little bit like shrimp. And it's got a really sort of almost crunch, not quite crunch, but like a... It's got that sort of meaty texture, like a like a lobster tail or a large shrimp, where it's tender. And it's not that it's crunching, but it's got that sort of resistance, and you can feel biting into it. It's actually kind of similar to the way asparagus is a bit crunchy, even when it's cooked. Mm. The flavor is very, delicate. The texture is robust. Um, yeah, thank you, Twitch. We're actually going to take that snooze this time. Um, so the flavor is very delicate, and does remind me of shrimp in terms of where it lands culinarily. I don't think it tastes like shrimp, but I think treating it like shrimp, where you don't want to completely drown it in other flavors, because it is a fairly delicate flavor on its own, is a good point of comparison. Um, it does have a lovely. If you don't like the texture of button mushrooms, if you've ever walked away from button mushrooms because you're like, oh, I don't like the texture, the. What do you mean next time? I don't think I drowned this in flavors. I don't think I drowned this in flavors. I think this was good because I went with because there was the sauce on the actual mushrooms was just a splash of soy and a splash of vinegar. Um, oh yeah, no. I this one was very porous on the inside. I've gotten one of these once before. It was much denser in the middle, and I think those are better for like taking a big slice of it and frying it like a piece of meat. This one that's much more porous. I think treating it like shrimp is good. It's definitely got a robust texture. I think you could give this to someone who does not like mushrooms based on the texture, and they would not be put off by this texture because it is quite different. Is that? No, that is. I got some of my hot oil on the lip of my pan. Uh, let's clean that up. Um, this is why when people tell me, "Oh, I don't like mushrooms," and then you ask them, "What kind of mushrooms have you had?" Well, I've had button mushrooms and I've had portobello mushrooms, and then I'm like, "Well, button mushrooms, portobello mushrooms, cremini mushrooms are literally the same mushroom at different stages of growth. Maybe try an actual different one because they're pretty different." Um, but let's taste the actual thing. Let's taste the whole shebang all together. So we're going to get down there, get some of our porridge, get a chunk of our mushroom, chunk of our asparagus, which is definitely went over a little bit. Mmm, mmm, mmm. Oh man. Oh man. Oh, wow. That's a roller coaster of flavors. Jeez. And it keeps changing as I chew it. Wow, wee. That caught me off guard. That one caught me off guard. That was a ooh, it's very good. It's very good. It's a circus of flavors. Um, I gotta take another bite. Because I kind of lost the plot. Because it changes as I chew it. So the very first thing that hits me is a slight tang and and you get the savoriness of the mushroom, of the um, the lion's mane, but also a little bit of the metallic tang of the wine cap actually comes through. I didn't mention that before. Very mature wine caps like this have a slightly metallic note to them. I don't find it off-putting. Some people might. And then it rolls in. It rolls in with the savory saltiness of our miso and our soy. The asparagus bursts in with its own asparagus flavor. But as you keep chewing it, some of the sharper, more assertive flavors mellow out, and you're left with this soft finish. And you're still chewing the lion's mane, so you're still getting that lion's mane flavor shot right through it. The lion's mane does not disappear. I might actually amend my earlier statement about it being a delicate flavor, and you gotta don't drown it. This is a circus of flavors, and that lion's mane stands prominent all the way through. So even though it seems like a delicate flavor, the fact that it slices right through all the rest of this nonsense that I put in here, I think you can be a little bit more robust with it, honestly. It's a... Whoa. Whoa. Damn. I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting overall with this. I was just kind of throwing stuff together. I think Jen's shout about putting miso... She said broth, but that led me to the miso because I had miso broth. Into the couscous was a big amp up for this. Because it's a very delicate flavor, but it's persistent and present. Oh, I've run out of pre-roll time because I snoozed another ad. I'm gonna eat the rest of this. I made up this plate for presentation purposes, so I've still got more of the couscous and more of the topping. I'm gonna eat all of that. This is so delicious. This is great. Oh man, I'm definitely gonna keep my eyes out for more lion's manes at the farmer's market. If I can find one, if I can find another one, we will do another experiment. I am pleased. I am very pleased. The mushroom guy said that last week he had a whole bunch of lion's mane, and this week he only had the one, and it grew literally last night. Dang. And all of our stuff here, aside from the garlic and the shallot, everything here is in-season spring produce. And that, I bet you, is also doing a lot of work. Getting in-season fresh produce does a ton to amp up the flavors you're working with. I could get these same ingredients out of season and it would not taste like this. I could actually get all of these ingredients out of season if I wanted to, but it would not taste like this. It would not be good like this. I'm especially thinking of the asparagus, which out of season asparagus is very disappointing. And the ramps, which you just can't get out of season. That would be the one thing I don't think I could get out of season. This is great. I love this. It's hard to describe. This one, like I said, I don't think I'm good at tasting notes. I find this one hard to describe because of the complexity in each individual bite, or it kind of rolls through. Um, I'm going to snooze the ad one more time because I'm going to rate us out before the ad plays. This, yeah, we're gonna have to we're gonna make a note of this one. This is great. This is actually great. I love this one. This is going in my top list for sure. Lion's mane asparagus porridge. Huh. Well, that's what you get. I didn't know I was going to make this morning when I got up because I did not have a lion's mane. Going to the farmer's market, 100% worth it. 110% worth it. Let's see who's on right now. Actually know who I want to rate already. We're going to select. It's a new person, new to me at least. Michelle is currently taking part in the ANZ Subathon. ANZ stands for Australia New Zealand, which is, or is it Subfest? There's a celebration of Australian and New Zealand creators, and I have been lucky enough to catch some of them in the mornings because of they're of course ending their days when I'm starting mine on the other side of the world. But one of the ones I was watching sent off a raid into Michelle. She's currently playing Minecraft. Yesterday she was doing art. She's been doing all sorts of different things. Looks like a well-rounded variety channel. She seems like good people to me. So we're gonna go say hi. Be nice. This isn't one of the channels I'm an old hat in, so see you there. Here's the countdown. I will be back next week. See you then. Bang.